a Spanish-British alliance to ban Argentina from the 2030 World Cup, strip away their titles, and even revoke the 1986 trophy. Watch what happened. But before we begin, if you believe the Argentinian national team has benefited from more refereeing favors and displayed worse sportsmanship than any other team in World Cup history, please like this video and write in the comments, ban Argentina. The football and political worlds across Europe have been shaken by a massive earthquake that has completely changed the global football landscape. A historic and completely unprecedented alliance has now been announced between the Kingdom of Spain and the United Kingdom. Their ultimate objective is nothing less than removing Argentina from international football. This dramatic joint action comes as a direct reaction to what they describe as the Tango, team's long and deeply troubling record of unethical behavior, a record that allegedly crossed every acceptable boundary during the recent 2026 World Cup. It all began with the shocking, violent, and aggressive confrontation involving Argentinian players immediately after the final whistle against Spain's players, who had supposedly won the match with complete honesty and dignity on the field. But the Argentine controversies did not end there. They reportedly reached the political arena as well, with provocative actions directed at Britain during the knockout stages. This brought back memories of the team's controversial history, which critics claim has been connected to cheating and favorable refereeing decisions ever since the disputed 1986 World Cup. British and Spanish media outlets are now leading an intense and non-stop campaign, arguing that remaining silent over such behavior damages the reputation of the world's most popular sport. British supporters, who have carried the pain of past historical injustice for decades, now view this alliance as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reclaim what they believe was taken from them. They want to remove from football the aggressive actions and scandals that damage the reputation of the World Cup in front of millions of viewers around the planet. International demands for a strong and final punishment are growing, with supporters insisting that this must be done to ensure these football controversies never happen again. This historic alliance wants to send a message to the troublemakers that they will never forget and protect the beautiful game from violent behavior. On the other side, Spain's monarch, King Felipe VI, has reportedly stepped directly into the crisis, delivering a powerful blow against the Argentinian Football Association. Through strong and fiery statements allegedly released by the Spanish royal court, the king expressed his deep frustration and shock over what he witnessed during the World Cup final while sitting inside the royal box. He personally watched the alleged brutal confrontation involving Argentina's players and the Spanish team, who had reportedly played a heroic match and secured victory through honesty and without outside assistance. The king reportedly made it clear that the Argentinian team and its most aggressive supporters would not be welcome on Spanish soil during the 2030 World Cup. He allegedly added that he would make a firm sovereign decision to prevent the team from being hosted and block them from entering the next tournament. His Majesty also reportedly claimed that refereeing throughout the competition had been heavily and shockingly tilted in Argentina's favor, especially during their matches against Egypt, Switzerland, and England. Speaking as someone who understands the hidden side of football, the king allegedly argued that two of Argentina's goals in the earlier rounds should never have been allowed and were surrounded by serious refereeing controversies. Without those decisions, critics claim Argentina may never have reached the final. The Spanish royal palace allegedly made it clear that the state, together with its sporting and political institutions, would activate national security measures to prevent disorder on Spanish territory and protect both players and supporters from aggressive incidents. The Spanish king reportedly continued his criticism of the refereeing system that helped Argentina advance through the tournament. He allegedly claimed that the team's road to the final had been made far easier by a series of decisions that directly benefited them. According to reports from Spanish and British media, Argentina's games against teams such as Egypt and Switzerland were filled with major refereeing controversies. Critics claimed that fouls and possible red card offenses committed by Argentine players were deliberately ignored, allowing them to play with extreme aggression and intimidate their opponents. The Spanish king, according to these reports, pointed out that refereeing advantages had become one of the defining features of Argentina's World Cup journey. They were allegedly protected from serious punishment on the pitch, allowing them to behave aggressively without fear of suspension or consequences. British media outlets quickly seized on these statements, using them to reopen the historical grievances of European and African teams that believe Argentina has repeatedly benefited from refereeing decisions. They argue that these incidents went far beyond ordinary human mistakes and instead represented a pattern of favoritism and deliberate manipulation of major matches. That is precisely why the British-Spanish alliance is reportedly placing this issue at the center of its campaign, promising to expose these alleged favors to the entire world and demonstrate that Argentina's achievements were built on questionable decisions rather than the fair competition expected from the greatest tournament on earth. The Spanish royal statement also reportedly revealed details of a historic and highly serious phone call between King Felipe VI of Spain and King Charles III of the United Kingdom. The two monarchs allegedly discussed what they described as the shameful and dangerous conduct of the Argentinian team. During the conversation, King Charles III reportedly expressed complete outrage over the alleged attack on Spain's players, describing it as evidence of a total breakdown in sporting discipline and moral responsibility. The British anger, however, was not sudden. It had allegedly been building since the England-Argentina match, when Argentine players reportedly displayed provocative political messages on the pitch. Those messages demanded the return of the Falkland Islands to Argentina, a move British officials would view as a serious violation of FIFA principles that prohibit political conflicts from being brought into football. This alleged provocation reportedly pushed the British king to declare that his country would no longer tolerate repeated insults against its sovereignty or the feelings of its people. He allegedly made it clear that the Spanish-British alliance would not end with statements, protests, or diplomatic correspondence. Instead, it would reportedly transform into intense political and economic pressure at the highest levels, forcing sports organizations to consider historic decisions. These measures could include preventing what they describe as an aggressive generation of players from taking part in future international competitions and protecting European teams from repeated incidents that allegedly have no place in professional football in the 21st century. In an alarming legal escalation that could shake the foundations of international sport, King Charles III allegedly warned that if FIFA refused to immediately punish and suspend Argentina, the United Kingdom would not remain silent. He reportedly ordered legal advisors to prepare a powerful political and legal case supported by evidence and video recordings. This file would allegedly be taken directly to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, in Lausanne, Switzerland. He reportedly insisted that international sporting law supported the United Kingdom's position against what they considered clear violations of football regulations. London allegedly believes that failing to punish Argentina would send a dangerous message that bullying and disorder can continue without consequences. For that reason, the British legal campaign would reportedly rely on a broad collection of laws designed to prevent stadiums from becoming platforms for political disputes or places where opponents can be physically attacked. English media outlets reportedly view this possible legal action as a historic victory for British supporters who have felt the pain of controversial decisions against Argentina for generations. They argue that taking the matter to the highest sporting legal authority could expose the level of favoritism they believe Argentina has enjoyed throughout the decades. It could also bring an end to practices that damage the honor of fair competition and allow aggressive behavior to become a weapon for winning matches and avoiding punishment. The royal and diplomatic anger soon expanded, allegedly creating a united European front aimed directly at the leadership of world football. King Charles III reportedly announced plans for an emergency meeting with leaders of major European nations and football associations to formally announce their loss of confidence in FIFA President Gianni Infantino. The British-Spanish alliance allegedly believes that corruption and favoritism have reached unprecedented levels during Infantino's time in office. They claim that the FIFA president has become openly biased toward certain nations, following political pressure and directing major football events in ways that benefit specific sides while damaging sporting fairness and equal opportunity. Europe, which remains the financial and sporting engine of global football, is reportedly exhausted by what it sees as FIFA's transformation into an organization driven by personal interests, cover-ups, refereeing controversies, and the repeated ignoring of violence and misconduct involving Argentine players. This upcoming European revolt allegedly aims to completely reshape the international football system and bring an end to what British media outlets describe as Infantino's darkest and most corrupt era in the history of the sport. They reportedly plan to use economic boycotts, political pressure, and even the possibility of restricting broadcasts to force FIFA to confront the accusations and clean up the game by removing leaders accused of protecting favoritism and cheating. At the absolute peak of this unprecedented attack, the British king reportedly stressed that the alliance would not be satisfied with punishing Argentina only for its current and future actions. Instead, it would reopen old historical cases and attempt to correct what it describes as a distorted football history by officially demanding that Argentina be stripped of the 1986 World Cup title. The king allegedly argued that the tournament should no longer be recognized because of the infamous handball goal scored by Diego Maradona against England in the quarterfinal. From the British perspective, Argentina has continued celebrating a victory that was achieved through dishonesty and unethical conduct, creating what critics describe as a culture that glorifies cheating and aggression in pursuit of trophies. British diplomatic reports allegedly added that Maradona's controversial history, including allegations surrounding doping and drug use, further proves that his career and achievements were surrounded by serious questions and suspicion. They argue that the world can no longer continue honoring a tournament that was allegedly stolen in front of millions of television viewers. According to this view, the time has finally come to restore justice to England and return what they believe was their stolen place in football history. This controversial title, they claim, must be revoked immediately to send a powerful message that history cannot permanently protect those accused of cheating. Even if justice arrives 4 decades late, supporters of this campaign believe it is finally coming to strip away a false glory built on deception and sporting robbery. And in conclusion, my friends, share your opinion with us on this explosive topic. Do you believe Argentina should be banned from the 2030 World Cup and stripped of its 1986 title? Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for all the latest updates.